A worthy opponent is the key to an interesting match. This is the fundamental rule of Counter-Strike. Everything is built on this rule. Players train, improve their individual and team skills, all in order to compete against the best players. This is the foundation of esports. Players enjoy winning and spectators enjoy watching it. And this competitive aspect of the game is also present in HVH. Today, we will talk about how a kind of esports emerged where only cheaters play. Let's recall interesting moments that helped shape this discipline within CSGO. We will also see what competitive HVH looks like now. It is worth noting that most tournaments were organized by the players themselves. The main activity began around 2016. Players on HVH servers always competed for the title of the best. This led to the formation of the first teams, which later began to organize matches. Initially, the games were not organized systematically. Opponents were found on public servers. Typically, one player would insult another on the server, after which the other player challenged the opponent to a CW, which stands for Clan War, after which it was determined who was stronger. Soon, this lost its seriousness and began to be perceived as more of a meme. Over time, the first organizations appeared, which began to organize tournaments. Players created their websites, groups, discords, and held matches under their name. Games were played, players recorded demos, which other players noticed and also became interested in the culture. Thus, it became popular and began to gain great popularity. But any tournament needs rules. Surprisingly, the rules were uniform and widely accepted, and most importantly, quite simple. Competitive mode 5 vs 5 would require the following economy: 1 OP per team, 2 SSGs per team, and no harmful exploits, such as server crashes and any other things that disrupted gameplay. By the way, we have a separate video where we covered exploits in CSGO, you can find it on the pop-up notification. Tournament recordings traditionally garner a large number of views. This trend has persisted to this day. Whether it's videos or streams, it always attracts a lot of audience attention. And not without reason, because people enjoy watching the games of the best players. Initially, there were no prize pools, but soon competing for money became a usual thing. On average, for first place in a tournament, a team would receive $500. The record for prize money was set quite recently. In 2023, a tournament was held where the main prize was $1,000 per team. The recruitment of players for tournaments was done through word of mouth. An announcement was created, after which information about the tournament spread, and teams applied to participate in the tournament. The first tournaments looked completely different, because at that time, cheats didn't really have proper embedded scripting systems. Therefore, after the introduction of the grenade helper, all the main tactics changed, as you could then consistently throw complex nades to difficult positions where it previously would be problematic to dislodge a player. This opened up new tactics and permanently changed both the competitive aspect of HVH and regular public games. Let's listen to a quote from a player who played in tournaments at that time. "When I first got into the competitive HVH scene in 2017, it was completely different. The years 2017 to 2019 were probably the best for the 5 vs 5 scene. There were many tournaments and teams at the time. The gameplay style was slow, no one had insane movement skills. At that time, the term one-way was still popular, which stood for positions where people can penetrate walls only from one side. Time went on, cheats evolved, and along with them, the competitive scene evolved. With the appearance of grenade helper, dormant aimbot, defensive, etc., the gameplay changed and new tactics appeared. Over time, online 5 vs 5 started to decline, and as a result, tournaments became less frequent. A separate branch of tournament development can be highlighted with the introduction of the Wingman mode. After the mode was added to the game in early 2017, many players switched to it permanently. This was because the game demos from this mode did not end up being sent to Overwatch, but even after the addition of Overwatch, the mode not only did not lose its popularity, but also continued to gain it. This was all because most HVH games and modes moved to community servers. It's no wonder that this format immediately appealed to both regular players and those interested in just competing. This mode has gone through everything, from the fake angles patch at the end of 2018 to the closure of CSGO. Even after CSGO's closure, tournaments are still being held regularly to this day. Prize pools in these tournaments typically range from $50 to $200. Later, other tournaments in such unusual formats as 3 vs 3 and 4 vs 4 began to appear. The most interesting thing about these games was that they were played on maps from the 2 vs 2 mode. Although these modes did not gain popularity among viewers, players really liked them. Just like in CSGO, there were so many tournaments that it's simply impossible to talk about all of them, but one common type of cheating stands out, which participants resorted to. The favorite method became DDoS attacks. Both servers and players suffered from it. Over time, organizers came up with a set of rules to minimize the likelihood of such an attack. If DDoS attacks still occurred, it was usually due to the fault of the players themselves, who either did not monitor the security of their IP address or even leaked the IP address of the game server themselves. Another type of cheating was replacing a player without notifying the administration. This could happen for various reasons. However, organizers also found ways to detect these violations, simply by checking players' computers before the tournament or during games. People also tried to use forbidden exploits, but organizers would generally eliminate this problem by installing certain plugins on the server that prohibited this unwanted functionality. At the moment, the Premier mode rightfully holds the top spot in competitive HVH, primarily due to the ELO system. People have always liked numbers or titles to show their superiority. It's also worth mentioning that players like the Premier mode because of its unique gameplay type, which exists thanks to no spread. New tactics, wallbangs, pick and rolls, and gameplay were very popular among players who had been using the same tactics in CSGO for many years. Players learned to match exclusively against cheaters by utilizing the auto-accept feature. The logic is very simple. In each team, one player would turn off auto-accept, and if 8 people immediately accept the game during the match acceptance, the conclusion is simple: it will be HVH. Overall, history has shown that players enjoy competing against each other. Players themselves organize tournaments and leagues to get additional enjoyment from the game, because it's much more pleasant to defeat a renowned team than an ordinary player who just downloaded the game for the first time and entered a public match. We can confidently say that this trend will continue in the future. We'll be waiting for your comments below this video. You might point out some important points we missed. Feel free to also share topics you'd like to learn about in future videos. Throughout this video, we've hidden several Easter eggs containing subscription activation codes, and we're starting a giveaway for all commenters. The rules are simple: like the video, subscribe to our channel, and leave a meaningful comment with your Neverlose username at the end of it. Thank you for watching. This has been the Neverlose team. Stay tuned for more insights in our upcoming videos.